episode 2 of Talk to Tommy. New show, I decided to come on and go live and just kind of spout at the mouth about what I've got going on in my movie life, in my regular life. And here we are. It's December 3rd. First week of December is upon us. Hope everyone had a very nice Thanksgiving. Mine was very chill. Just did a lot of eating, football watching, good old fashioned American fun. Very low pressure. We love Thanksgiving because the pressure's off. So I'm back on today. Going to start things off talking about just the month of December in general. It's a tough month for a lot of creatives because things kind of go to a halt. You have to stay active and stay busy and keep working on your craft because it's very easy to blink, and next thing you know it, you're in the middle of January, you got nothing going on, and you're trying to figure out how to put the pieces together. So this December, we talked a little bit about it last week. I'm storyboarding. I showed you last week my storyboard book here. I'm working on a movie that I'll be directing. I guess you could call it late winter, early spring, but it's never too late to get started. I'm 20% in to my drawings right now. Last feature that I did called Bad News on the Doorstep, I did roughly just under 1,000 frames. So, I think it was like 9 change. So that's a lot of drawings, 900 and something tiny little drawings that you got to sketch and then you got to ink them. So it's very time consuming. So I get a big jump on that. Obviously, the storyboard could change, right? We're not married to the storyboard, but you got to go into production with an idea, a clear-cut vision of what you're going to be doing, because there's nothing worse than getting on set, and I've seen it before. The director has a script and the call sheet, and he's doing this, and he's looking around, and he's pointing at things, and there's all this time wasted trying to figure out how you're going to shoot something. And we all know that time is money. So to me, an extra minute on set trying to figure out how you're going to frame something up, or which direction you'd like the movement of the characters in comparison to the movement of the camera, all that stuff's a waste of your time. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I can make the greatest plan in the world, but then get on set and all of a sudden things are different and I got to change things. But you're always ready to be flexible. But if you don't go into that day with a plan, you're already really way behind. So I can't stress enough the importance of storyboarding. It's going pretty good, and I'm enjoying drawing. I used to love drawing when I was a kid. How many drawers out there? Drop a comment down if you were a big artist as a kid. I forget who said this, but we're all artists as children, right? When we're little kids, it's kind of just in us, right? You give a kid a box of crayons and some paper. I mean, that kid's just going to draw you something no matter what. And it seems like over time, the creativity slips away. But when I was a kid, man, I didn't need video games. I mean, I liked video games. Don't get me wrong, I loved video games, but I didn't need toys. I didn't need anything. You wanted to shut me up for a little while, you just give me a pad, some pens, maybe some crayons. I'm going to be drawing my face off. Looks like Justin says, Justin thought he was going to be an artist when he grows up. I think we all did, right? I mean, we all had this kind of, it's just something amazing. Give a kid a pen or a marker, a crayon, anything. Granted, they might write on the walls and you might get upset about that, but they're going to create something. And I think that as adults, we got to find a way to tap back into that creativity once in a while. So that's why I've been liking my storyboards. I put some music on that I like. Sometimes I'll put a movie on that I'm trying to draw some inspiration from. You can you want to focus on what you're doing, but the nice thing about your storyboards is you can almost do a couple, 2, 3 things at once. I like multiple forms of stimulation. I'm a weird person. I'm the kind of guy who will play video games while listening to a podcast, and I'll have like a football game or a basketball game on the TV, and I'll be listening to my podcast, glancing at that TV. I'm like a hamster in a wheel. I need a lot of activity. So the storyboards are going pretty good. It's December, so I started decorating my house a little bit. I put up a Christmas tree. Didn't decorate it yet. I'm going to wait for my girlfriend to come over tomorrow. We're going to decorate that shit. and get into the holiday spirit a little bit. But yeah, this is a good time to kind of get in the holiday spirit, and that's kind of what I'm focusing on. Real quick, let's talk about it. Favorite Christmas movies. Let's do a Christmas movie Rushmore right now. I'm going to give you my top four Christmas movies. And these aren't in any particular order. This is just kind of, if I was trapped on a weird winter island where it's only December all year round on this crazy island, and you can only watch four Christmas movies, here would be my four. Number one, Home Alone. Got to go with Home Alone. Macaulay Culkin's legendary film from 1990. I also grew up in the 90s. Like, I think I was Kevin McAllister's age when that movie came out. So, talk about a movie like speaking to you. Whew, love that movie so much. Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, the two bad guys in the movie, just holding it down. And just so much fun, like comedic violence that, in the 90s, we kind of just were like, oh, it's okay. You can almost nearly kill these men. It's fine. It's all in good fun. So just a great film. Home Alone's number one on my list. Number two, I'm going to go out with National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Clark Griswold. Come on, dude. Who doesn't want a little Clark Griswold in their life every December? It's just such a great comedy. Chevy Chase in all of his Chevy Chase superpowers. I want to say that one came out in 89. So, man, talk about like a couple back-to-back monster years for Christmas movies. In a span of 89 and 90, you've got National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, boom, Home Alone. Damn, that's a pretty good couple of years right there as far as Christmas movies go. Number three. All right, I see it on the list here. Kim dropped it down. Kim, what's up, Kim? How you doing? We usually have similar tastes when it comes to art. I'm gonna go with Elf, number three. Elf is a lot of fun because Elf is like it's one of these kind of instant classics. It's a movie that I'm gonna date myself a little bit. It doesn't feel old to me, although it probably is like 20 years old now. But talk about a movie that came out and just like I said became an instant classic. You've got Will Ferrell. You've got, of course, the late great James Caan, who's terrific in that movie. Great kind of juxtaposition between James Caan and Will Ferrell. Just a really great, fun, instant classic. Also, Sky Point, shout out to Ed Asner, who plays Santa in that movie. I actually directed Ed Asner in a Christmas movie called Saving Christmas. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's stick to the topic here. Top four Christmas movies. So we've got Home Alone. We've got National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. We got Elf on there. This is tough, man. I'm going to do a fifth because there's two that are almost a tie for me. I'm going to go with Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm a huge Arnold fan. I grew up just loving all that action movie shit as a kid. Everything from Terminator to Commando to you name it. And then, of course, you get the comedy twins. I mean, Arnold was the guy in the 80s, in the better part of the 90s. So to see Arnold put down his machine gun and pick up an action figure and be hunting for this crazy toy that his son wants for Christmas. I mean, it's just a really cute movie. And although Arnold's done a lot of light stuff, in recent times, but this was a time, we're talking mid-90s when Arnold was still primarily known as an action hero. So it was fun to see him do something different, be a family man, be around kids, and go on this crazy quest with, opposing Sinbad. Let's take a quick second to talk about how awesome Sinbad was back in the day. I mean, I'm sure he's still awesome. I know he's going through some health issues, so Sinbad, you're in our thoughts and prayers. Just what an icon, man. What a comedy icon. So Jingle All the Way. I'm also a big action figure fan. If you know me, I like my toys. I collect a lot of vintage toys. If you look behind me on the shelf, there's a bunch of action figures. I'm a damn overgrown child. So the idea that, Arnold's hunting after this hot action figure, I can relate to that. I've been there, man. And then, again, these are almost tied. I know it's Rushmore. You're supposed to only pick four. But I got to go with the Santa Claus, man. Tim Allen in the Santa Claus. just a regular guy who, divorced dad who's just trying to have a decent Christmas for his son. It's the first time they're probably, separated from the family unit. And the real Santa Claus falls off of his roof and I guess dies. It's kind of a morbid moment in the movie that nobody really talks about, but I guess he falls off the roof and dies. And there's a clause, a Santa Claus, that states that Tim Allen, I guess he's now Santa Claus. So suddenly, Tim Allen puts the suit on. The reindeer? Is reindeer plural? Deers, reindeers, reindeer. They all know what to do, and magically Tim Allen just becomes Santa, and he's pretty damn good at it too. So that's a really fun movie. It's fun to see that character kind of like evolve as the movie goes on, and he really leans the character Scott. I think it's Scott Calvin. He really leans into the Santa Claus persona. He starts gaining weight. He starts growing the beard. Guys, Larry is just going berserk. That's my cat Larry, if you don't know him. So if you hear some meowing in the background, I don't have someone chained up in the other room. It's just Larry. So those are my 4/5 best Christmas movies. And if you'll notice, yeah, I might have dated myself a little in the sense that like all my picks are from like 89 to whatever, like 96. That's obviously when I was a little kid. So, those movies are going to sing to me a little bit. Justice says Polar Express. You know what's this? You're gonna be shocked, Justice. I've never seen Polar Express. I read the book. I think it was Chris Van Allberg. Is that the writer's name? I remember the book like distinctly as a little kid. I think I remember when that came out. That was like one of the books that like the teacher would like hold up and like read in front of the class around this time of year. But I got to dust off Polar Express. Is it correct that I think they're making another Polar Express? It could be. I think I heard that somewhere. So yeah, Christmas movies are going on. Break them out. It's good for the heart. It's good for the soul to watch a Christmas movie. Um, all right. So last week I talked a little bit about uh, Chris Walden, who is the composer that I'm working with on my movie Bad News on the Doorstep. Uh, Chris Walden is a monster in the industry. This guy, like I said last week, again, I don't want to be redundant if you haven't heard it, but I think only 30, 40 people heard it, so who cares? We'll repeat it. Chris Walden's worked with people like Michael Bublé, Mariah Carey. I mean, really, just some of the like biggest icons of the music industry, arranging music, composing music for them. He's obviously scored a bunch of films and television. And I got a chance to work with him last week. I'll tell you a little bit how it went. So I went into the session and I didn't know what to expect, because I've done spotting sessions before. A spotting session is basically when you sit down with the composer and you watch the music with no music, and the composer kind of weighs in on where he or she thinks the music should go and the feelings and the beats. You really break it down. And then, of course, as the director, I'm going to weigh in on, where I'd like the emotions to go. But on this one, and I told Chris this, I said, brother, I'm throwing you the keys on this one. I mean, you are the expert. I have a couple ideas on what I'd like to have happen, but I'm hoping that you can open my mind up to some things that I wasn't even thinking of. And boy, did he ever. As we're watching the movie, so I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be like, maybe a 2, 3 hour session. I mean, I knew it was going to be at least 2 hours, right? Because the movie's 90 minutes. We got to watch the movie and talk about it. You're going to stop as you go. So I figured 3 hours. This was a 6 hour session, just about. So you can imagine, and this is what I loved so much about working with Chris. He was so thorough, and we watched a lot of the scenes 2, 3 times in a row, over and over again, with music that I selected, the temporary music. Quick little tidbit: when you direct a movie and you make your first cut, you put in what's called temp track, which is short for temporary tracks, where you basically go and you find music that already exists, whether it's hit artists or whether it's maybe a more obscure group that no one's ever heard of. Doesn't matter. The idea is you pick temporary music that you want to put down in your cut. So we watched each scene like with the temporary track, and then we watched each scene without the temporary track. And the fun part is there were many moments when, my instincts were to put music down into a scene, and then he'd look at me, and this was my favorite part. And I hope Chris won't mind me sharing this, but he was like, Tommy, can I ask you a question? And I was like, yeah. Do you think Martin Scorsese would have music in a scene? And then I'm like, and he goes, I don't think so. And I was like mind blown. And we watched a couple of these really emotional, drama heavy scenes without music. And there was something about it where I was just like, oh, wow, wait a minute. This is so much more impactful. Just hearing these two actors and their emotions collide, you don't need any bullshit around it to distract you. You don't need any additional melodrama. And that's kind of what he was telling me without coming out and saying it because he's a nice guy. But when you add that like overly dramatic music to certain scenes, you can actually cheese up your scene to the point where it almost comes off like you're making some kind of after school special, some kind of like, super hyped up dramatic nonsense. And you take away from the actors. And that's kind of what he said. He's like, you got great performances here. Like, you don't need anything else. And obviously, that's not the case for every scene. And sometimes you need little nuances of music and little hits here and there to maybe at the end of a scene to carry it through into the next one. But the idea that I was just like laying down music under these great dramatic scenes, it wasn't necessary. So it was really cool to learn that from him. And Justice says, to be fair, I haven't seen Jingle All the Way. Check that one out this December. It's fun, man. I mean, Arnold's hilarious in it. Sinbad's hilarious in it. And you can maybe get yourself a Turbo Man action figure too while you're at it. Justice also said that 6 hours probably felt like 45 minutes. It really did, man. It went by super fast. It was pretty funny. About halfway through the session, we're going, and we're about 3 hours in now, 2, 3 hours in, and we're about halfway through the cut. And he looks at me and he goes, "How you feeling?" And I'm like, "I'm great. How are you?" So I'm having a blast. And he's like, "Okay, so we're about halfway. Do you want to pick this up on another session? Maybe in a week or two. Or do you want to keep going?" And I was like, "Well, how do you feel, Chris?" I was like, "I'm fired up. I'll keep going. You feel good? Creatively charged?" He goes, "Oh yeah, let's do this." He goes, I typically like to do this in one session while it's all fresh in my mind, and then once I have this down, now Chris will go and write this music, and obviously he wasn't sitting there at a piano writing stuff. He was taking notes, visualizing. It was really cool. There were a couple moments where I saw him like look out, and he's just like looking. He's like, I can see the music. And I was like, man, that's so cool. He's like, it's hard for me to explain it to you, but I can see exactly what I got to do here. So in a few weeks, we will be seeing what Chris comes up with. And man, I can't wait. There has been some others, I've had to license some other tracks. Uh, I'm looking for some 50s era doo-wop music. So if anyone out there has any artists that they are familiar with that do either 50s doo-wop or like 50s style rock and roll, I'd be interested in maybe listening to it, and who knows, maybe putting it in Bad News on the Doorstep. Here's the trick though. It's got to be original music. The artist must have written it themselves, because a lot of the issues that I run into, we all run into. A lot of groups will, they'll play like an old standby, and although they sang it themselves and they did the music, they don't own the rights to that actual song. So then when you go to try to put it in a movie, you get a little bit of trickiness. It gets a little funky, because now you have to pay additional publishing fees for that song. So it's been tough, but we're working on it. We're in talks with a pretty cool doo-wop group that actually is from New Jersey, where this movie takes place, that had a lot of hits in the early 60s, which, although Bad News on the Doorstep takes place in the late 50s, and this music came out in like 61, 62, I don't think anyone will notice. Don't tell anyone. If they do notice, I will tip my cap and say, man, you sure know your sounds. You know your doo-wop. That's what we're going through now. And hey, I'm just gonna shout it out to the world. If you know anyone that has 50s kind of rock and roll music, or 50s doo-wop music, and it's original, and they've got it recorded nice, yeah, let me know. I'd be willing to listen to it. I can't make any promises. Uh, I'm always down to listen. A big part of my career has been turning over every rock and every stone to find shit that I need. You could lead to a lot of disappointment. A lot of rocks have nothing but worms underneath them. But once in a while, you find a little gold under that rock. So yeah, Justice says, guy named Elliot James makes something similar to 50s music. He reminds me of Elvis. Ooh, I love Elvis. Elvis is my spirit animal. He's on Instagram and TikTok. I'm gonna check that out. Thanks, Justice. You never know, man, right? I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's so funny because there are so many artists that want to get their music out there, and it's about making the connection. They might not even know that these opportunities exist. Um, all right, so we're winding things down today on this December 3rd episode of Talk to Tommy. As always, I just want to shout this out. Anyone who's not watching live, if you watch this, feel free to drop your questions, comments, anything about movies. I'm always here to have an open discussion, and I'll even make it a topic on next week's episode. Doesn't have to be now. If you pipe down, Larry, you can just drop your question down. If it's about, hey, I'm looking to get into acting, where do I start? Hey, I want to start screenwriting, but I don't know where to begin, or whatever it is. I have a great script. I don't know what to do with it. Those are the kind of questions I'm willing to answer here on YouTube. All right. I live alone. Aside from Larry, I don't have a ton of friends. I'm a lonely guy. Give me some human interaction, damn it. Drop a comment down and I'll answer it. But as I wind this week down, I wanted to ask you guys, how do you feel about one of the big things that's kind of taking over the industry in the last year, but really in the last 6 months, I've seen it more than ever. How do we feel about verticals? Vertical dramas, vertical micro dramas. That seems to be the buzzword of the year. Every year, the movie business comes up with what I like to call a buzzword. It's not just me. I think a lot of people use the term buzzword. But this year's buzzword is verticals. God damn it, it's all I hear from producers, from actors, from filmmakers. And it's funny because when you talk about verticals, and we're going to probably do a whole show on verticals, but I just wanted to put it out here for today, just to get these thoughts in motion. You get an interesting stigma when you mention verticals. It seems like a lot of artists kind of like repel the idea of being in a vertical, and a lot of filmmakers repel the idea of making a vertical. But to me, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I get it. A lot of people are skeptical because when you look at some of these verticals, my boyfriend is a cyborg. My boss is a vampire. I mean, they're interesting. They almost remind me of like a visual version of like a science fiction romance novel. Like if you took a science fiction novel and you took a romance novel and you smashed them together, you'd get like a vertical. They're these kind of, I mean, I think it's cool because it's something different, and it's people watching stories. And if this is how people want to watch their content now, I think it's up to us to lean into it and figure that out. Now, granted, a lot of people remark on the quality and they say, well, I don't know, it's just they don't look that great, or the acting's not that good, or the production value is not that high. And my thing is this. I mean, if you watch a lot of early YouTube videos, the production value wasn't that high. The presentation wasn't always the best. Now you look at YouTube videos, people got channels that they look like, NBC is broadcasting them. So to me, I think that there's an evolution that's going to take place. I don't think these verticals are going to go anywhere because, let's face it, everybody is conditioned to watch content vertically on their phone now. And I'm talking to kids that are, not even the 20 somethings now, but like some kid who's, I don't know, 10, 11 years old right now. They were born with an iPad in their hand. They were born with a phone in their hand, watching stuff. Mom wants to keep the kid quiet at the restaurant. Here, look at my phone, watch this. So it's embedded into their visual culture, if you will, to watch shit on their phone or on a vertical screen. So I think it's going to be for that generation. I mean, this generation might look at them and be like, I don't know if I'm going to sit there and watch a whole show on my phone or whatever. But that next generation, man, the kids of today, the youth of tomorrow, I mean, they're going to be or I should say the adults of tomorrow, they're going to be all over this vertical stuff. I mean, it's just going to make so much sense. Kim just said SAG is getting into the vertical world, so it's a real thing. Justice says, I feel like it's a great value. I feel like it's great value, diluted entertainment, but it's the new wave. There's some that I like though. Yeah, exactly, man. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I mean, like, I think it's a little rickety out of the gate. The genre's figuring out what it really is. But you're not gonna try and tell me that if this really takes off, uh, you know, Hollywood filmmakers, big name filmmakers aren't going to eventually say, well, hold on a minute, brother. I want to get on that train before it leaves the station. They will. You'll see. Mark my words. I predict this now on December 3rd, 2025. I'm going to say within one calendar year, like this time next year, we're going to be talking at least one quote unquote named director will make a pretty classy looking vertical. I think that's going to happen. Justice says, "Have you thought about directing verticals?" Hell yeah, man. I'm waiting for the right opportunity. I'm trying to get involved with that. I love telling stories, so it's like I'll shoot a movie vertical, horizontal, diagonally. Give me any direction to tell a story with a camera, and I'll make that happen. And I've said this before too. I think too many times artists get hung up on their values, and it's like, look, man, we're trying to work here. You know, if I can pay my bills by making a vertical and do something creative and work with really cool people, you damn right I'm going to be all over that. So if you're out there, vertical producers, Tommy DiNucci is available. All right, so we're winding things down. As always, you can check me out on Instagram at Tom DiNucci. Got a lot of fun things coming up. I'm going to be back on next week to talk about various fun topics on Talk to Tommy. Remember, drop your questions down if you got them. I'm happy to answer them. I've got a couple fun things going on tonight. I don't know if y'all have any fun plans for the evening, but I got my buddy Glenn Ciano coming over in just a few minutes. We're going to just hang out. Glenn's a fellow filmmaker. He's a writer, director. Glenn gave me my very first opportunity in acting, actually. He was the first director to cast me in a feature film called Incubus with shout out Robert Englund. You don't know who Robert Englund is? He's Freddy Krueger. He's the actor behind Freddy Krueger. So that was my first speaking role in a movie. I think I was 24, 25 years old. Glenn and I go way back. So it's always fun to hang out with him. We got a couple projects together. We're working on a project called Star Spangled Savages, which is basically a World War II movie, kind of in the vein of Tropic Thunder. It's kind of like a violent comedy about a ragtag group of prisoners of war. They're basically American soldiers that have been locked up, but by us. Like, we locked them up. I mean, the Americans locked them up because they're such badasses and they've gotten into some shit. And there's this, well, let's face it, it's pretty much a suicide mission. And they need some badass dudes. So this general decides to make them an offer where they basically say, hey, tell you what, we're going to take you out of the brig, and we're going to send you on this mission. And if you complete it and you don't die, we'll grant you your freedom. And even if you do die, we'll tell your family that you died a hero rather than some prison war criminal or whatever they are. So that's the fun concept. It's let's face it, it's basically we're taking a page out of The Dirty Dozen. I don't know if anyone saw that movie. Shout out to The Dirty Dozen. Whew, what a movie that is. If you haven't seen The Dirty Dozen, it's a little old, it's a little dated. It came out in the 60s. Might have even come out in the early 70s. I think it was the 60s, in the late 60s. Anybody know when The Dirty Dozen? Right now. Dirty Dozen. We should know that. 1967. I said, could have been the 70s. We're right smack dab in that late 60s. But boy, is that a great film. So Glenn and I are kind of doing our version of that. We're going to be working on putting together a little cast for that. I'm working with a really cool director who's attached. You'll see. There's a lot going on with that one. So we're going to do that. And tonight, guys, I'm a little nervous. So when I was a kid, I used to play guitar all the time and sing a little bit. And then obviously, once you become an adult, one of the first things that are your hobbies, right? You know, you just don't have time to pick up that guitar, you have time to learn a new song or whatever. But something's been missing in my life creatively, like, just that outlet. So for like weeks and weeks and weeks, I've been talking to my buddy Aaron, who also works in movies. He's an AC, he's an assistant camera operator. And he's like, "Oh man, I play guitar. I'd love to play, and I'd love to play. Let's do it. Let's pick a night. Let's pick a night. Let's jam. Let's jam." Obviously, that goes back and forth like all adults when you try to make plans. That whole like, yeah, let's hang. That could go on for 6 months before an actual plan is made. Once you hit 30 and above. So finally, we made plans, and tonight Aaron's gonna come over. We're gonna pick out a few songs, and we're gonna rock out a little bit. It's been a while. My chops are gonna be a little dusty, but we're gonna get the rust off and just play some music and kick back. And I have a theory that if you're being creative in multiple facets, like you're drawing, you're playing music, you're working on a movie, almost like mixed martial arts for creativity. I could fight you standing up, I could fight you on the ground, I could choke you out, I could knock you out. So I think it's very important as artists to be very well-rounded. So maybe this is just my way of like tapping into a different creative part of my brain tonight. And the other thing I really like about music is when you're playing a song, it's almost impossible to think about anything else, especially if you're singing and playing. Like when I'm singing and playing the guitar, it takes so much focus that I don't think about all the monsters in my mind and all the crazy shit going on and all the anxiety that I have. And, oh, what do I have to do tomorrow? And oh, what if this person doesn't call me back? Or what if that email doesn't come in that I wanted to get? All that bullshit, all that noise seems to kind of get turned right down when I'm playing. So I'm hoping tonight I get a little escape through music. Kim, I didn't know you played piano, and it's so therapeutic. Music is very therapeutic. I also didn't know you're a World War II buff. I'm a huge World War II buff. Shout out to my dad who got me into all military history. We used to take trips to Gettysburg as a kid, so that kind of stuff's you can learn a lot. And if you're into movies, I mean, man, there are still probably dozens of, if not hundreds of, great World War II stories that would be ripe for a movie that haven't even been told yet. So. All right, this has been a blast. Thank you for listening. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for chiming in the comments, Justice, Kim. I hope you have a great day. Justice, what'd you say you're doing tonight? He said he's going to see something. Seeing Marty Supreme tonight. Oh, that looks good. Let me know how that is. I gotta go to a movie, man. I haven't been in the movies in a damn long time. So, all right. Well, you guys have a great week, and I will see you about a week from now on episode 3 of Talk to Tommy. See you guys.